Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. I hope you enjoy it. I really enjoyed making this clock. I love the piece, I love the colours I use. It's just a magnificent little piece. So I'm going to do just a little bit of step by step. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. I'd only be too happy to answer any question that I can answer, and if I can't answer, I'll see if I can find out the answer for you. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taping the back of the piece with blue masking tape. You can get this in any hardware store, and this is just so that you know that you could peel off any drips afterwards. It saves you having to go sanding the back of it. I just find this easier than going through the sanding. The next thing I do on the side that I'll be that I make the clock on is I put on some gesso. Gesso can be bought in any arts and crafts store. I find this good because it seals the piece before I put on the acrylic paint. Now some people put on the resin straight away, but I don't. I tend to paint them first with whatever colour I'm going to be using on the piece. And definitely the gesso definitely helps to seal that. So you'll see here now, that's one thing actually, just to be sure, to make sure that you read the instructions on all of these pieces, whether it's gesso, acrylic paint, resin. Make sure you read them carefully. With the gesso, you need to leave it for 24 hours before putting on any paint. And you'll see here now that I'm putting on my acrylic black paint here as well. This gives a lovely finish, and it, like I say, it's nice. You feel way more comfortable putting on your resin as well afterwards, once you know the gesso is on and it's given that time to soak that in. So what I'm going to do here now as well is I'm going to just put a mat underneath it, which I should have put on earlier. The mat will help with the drips, because you don't really want the resin going on your table, because they are quite hard to get off. You can go sanding, but you know you don't want to be doing that all the time, when these mats are quite handy to take the drips, and you can just peel them off the mat afterwards. So the next thing there I'm going to do, once I have that done, I'm going to just paint around the edges with the acrylic paint as well, the black acrylic paint, and just to give it a nice little all-round finish, because the resin, I will expect it to drip down around the sides, and it's good to have that contact with the acrylic paint around the sides as well. And yeah, so that's nice. So the next thing I'm going to do here is once that's done, you'll see me there. I'm just putting out the little plastic cups, and they'll be for the colours. I have one big one for the black, and the smaller ones that are for the colours that I'll be using less of. And now I've already mixed the resin here, and it's the 1-to-1 ratio with the craft resin. I do love craft resin. So I put the black in there now. I just use 2 little scoops, and you can use however many you see fit yourself, whatever gives you the best effect. And next, what I'm going to do here then is I'll start adding the colours to the others. The orange will be first, and then I'll do the brown next, and then the gold, and the next one then will be the red one. And we'll stir away there now for a while, very slowly, even though it looks like I'm going fast, but that's because the camera I've it going on that little bit speeded up version. But do stir it slowly. It avoids stirring slowly, helps to avoid getting all those bubbles. What I'm actually going to do as well, I'm going to do a separate one with white, because I do like when the piece is done to kind of go around some of the edges. You'll see me doing it after, just to kind of define the lines around the different colours. So I do little strips of white in it as well. So that's why I'm going to mix a small little cup of white as well. Yeah, so yeah, once that's all nice and stirred, the next thing we'll be moving on to will be putting the resin on the board for the clock. So what I'm going to stress and make sure that you're wearing your gloves, because the resin is toxic until it's cured. So make sure you wear your gloves. You'll see me pouring it on here. The craft resin pours so nicely onto the piece, and I'll spread that around there now. That's spreading around so nicely, and just I go right around to all the edges of the piece. And yeah, if the resin gets on your hands, like, don't worry, just make sure to clean it off as soon as possible, straight away really. And I'm going to stay quiet now for a small while, because I'm going to be getting the heat gun here now, just to heat up that black, just to make sure that it's spreading nicely around the piece. So I'll be staying quiet now for a small while. How cool was that? So we're going to just put on another little bit of black here now. And we're going to do a little bit of a twirl. Right, now we're going to put on the red here, and then the brown will go over that. And we'll be putting the orange and the gold over that. And we're going to repeat that then again, just to get as much colour in the piece as possible. We'll be putting more heat on it shortly, and we'll spread those colours around the piece in the best direction that you see fit yourself. And you'll see the way I did it. You know, as you're doing it, what works best for the piece. Oh, these are so, oh, these colours are mixing so well. Wow. Gosh. Isn't that cool? So now I'm going to just be quiet again for a little while, because we're going to just put another bit of heat on it. When you'll see the way these colours will mix now. They are just going to be so gorgeous. Yep, so here we go now with some more heat. Wow, wow, wow. How about that for an effect? Isn't that just, oh, that is just so cool, if I may say so myself. Oh, look at those cells. That's just, the heat gives a great effect that way. That's just so cool. I'm going to just be putting in some of the white now that I was telling you about earlier. Just do the few strips around. You can see that there. You can see what I'm doing there with that. gorgeous. Right, so it's 24 hours later and I'm just going to drill the hole in the center of the clock. So I'm just going to stay quiet for a second. Yeah, that's that drilled done very nicely now. So I'm going to pour the last layer of resin on now. I just cleaned off the board there before I poured, and going to just spread it out there with my hands, and make sure you're wearing your gloves as usual. Very important part of the process to be wearing the gloves. As I said before, the resin is toxic until it's cured, so it's very important to wear your gloves at all times. So the next step that I'm going to do is, once I have this all spread out, I'm going to use a heat gun on it, just to make sure that it spreads out evenly. The heat helps it to spread out evenly. So I'm going to go quiet here now again for a while. It's looking really good now. It's going to be super cool. So I'm just using the torch here now, next, to get rid of any unwanted little bubbles. And then I'm going to, once that's done, I'm just going to go around the edges there. And give it a nice finish. So 24 hours later, and the top layer has cured perfectly. So I'm going taking off the tape at the back of the clock now. It's much easier to take it off at this stage, just after the 24 hours, because the resin, it's while it's cured, there's still that little bit of flexibility in it. But you can leave it longer, and I definitely recommend leaving it longer until you're very familiar with the resin, because you don't want to damage the actual piece itself. You can use a heat gun after the 24 hours to try and get it off if it gets too difficult. Now, when I had a little bit of resin left over the last, I don't like waste, so I made these tiny little balls, because I think I might use those as numbers, what we'll call them numbers, for the clock, the 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. I think they look pretty good on that. Now what I'm doing with the back, because there's a little bit of resin after seeping through and it's a little bit marked, I don't like to see it like that. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to paint it with acrylic paint. But first of all, again, I'm going to put on the gesso so that it'll help to secure the resin to it. It's such a lovely piece, and I just want to have it absolutely perfect, so I don't like any blemishes at the back of the piece. So it's a good idea just to paint it, and give it a perfect finish all around. So the next step here is just to put my name on the piece. I got these signatures made specially. So I just put this on and then I do another coat of resin over it. So now I'm just doing a final sand before I put the So here I'm just putting on that final layer, and I'm just going to spread around that resin around the whole piece, and just make sure that I smooth it out all around the edges. If you're happy with the edges at this point, I would tape around the edges, but if not, you can leave it flow right over it. This resin goes on so smoothly, it's gorgeous. So I'm going to be going quite shortly now because we'll be putting a bit of heat on this just to make sure that all those bubbles are gone. So that it makes it a really smooth effect. So here we go. It's turning out really nice. I'll put in just another small bit of resin here. Really is a lovely piece. Have a look at the cells here, it's gorgeous. Have a look at this. Oh my goodness. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh, I just love this piece. So here is just the part where I put the mechanism on. And you can see the mechanism here, and I have the little hook at the back of it. So I have the little, I'm going to use these little white balls where I had the resin left over. I made a few extra white ones. Decided to use all white as the numbers. And these are the hands and the mechanisms. So I'll be putting all those on to finish off the clock. And this is it, it's all coming together now, so I'll show you the finished piece shortly. I have all the numbers and the hands on.